Hello and welcome back. My name is King Boz, and today we are going to go through the crumbling bridge with all of the explosive action you see before you. Let's get into it. So previously we left off, we had our boulder run project just there, so we're just going to dive straight into this new one. If you right click, we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call it crumbling bridge or collapsing bridge, whichever you want to call it. We're going to open up that folder, and then we're going to go to our selection mode. We're going to drop it down to modeling. We're going to get a box, and we're going to extend that box. This is width and its depth, its wideness, so make it however big you want, but if it's a bridge it probably wants to be thinner than it is longer, and then we're just going to drop it down so it's about brick size, and then we're going to accept that, and then we're going to make it a little bit bigger on top of that as well. So if we go to X form after we do that, and we go to transform, and then we manipulate some of these scale values. So we don't want the X there because that makes it wider, we want the Y that makes it longer, and then we're going to complete that once we're at a distance we want. So I wanted it to be 2. If you do move it, it does reset itself, because I know it's 2, it's a simple fix. And then we just want to complete that. Once we're happy with that, we're going to put it out into the world a little bit so it becomes more of a bridge, and then we're going to go to the fracture tool. We're going to create a new geometry collection, put it inside our collapsing bridge folder, and then create it. And we're going to have a uniform one rather than a brick one this time, and we need to increase the max, I'm going to butcher this word, Veronicles or Verones, and it's just basically how many shapes it breaks into. So here we've got a minimum of 20 and a maximum of 200, but 200 seems to be a little bit bugged, so we're going to put 201 so we can see it, and there we can see all the lines appear on our image. That's how many bricks or clusters it should break into. Because this is a bridge, I wanted it to be a few more, so I'll put 400. That looks good to me. It's going to break into plenty of smaller pieces. It's going to look a bit like a bridge collapsing. I mean, I haven't collapsed a bridge anytime soon, but I've played plenty of Call of Duty, so I know what explosions look like. That's my professional opinion. I'm going to select it again. We're going to come over here, type in bone, and it's bone, not bones, you silly sausage. Type in bone, untick show bone colours, and then it goes back to our normal colour. We're going to make a geometry collection actor by selecting this button on the side, and we're going to we're going to add our material. We had a material from last time for our brick wall. So we're just going to add that material to this to make it like a brick wall, a brick path, and then we're going to add a box collision. Now this box collision will trigger our explosions to start chasing us, so you need to decide whereabouts that will go. You might want to play with that once we're finished. I've put mine a little bit just after the middle, and I've made it so that you can't jump around it unless you do some weird aroundy jump, and you can't jump over it. Now this is a little bit optional. I like to add an arrow so I know where the start is, in case I ever need to debug stuff. An arrow isn't visible unless you make it visible, but it just tells me where it starts, so I never get confused about which one's the start and which one's the end point. And then to that arrow we're just going to add a scene component, which is just something that we can reference later on. Now what we need to do is make sure that that's in the middle of our brick, so that when our bomb spawns it's directly inside and explodes it from there. So just compile that and save. We're going to have a look at So as I say, we're going to make this not hidden in game so that we can see it. And now when we look at it and test our game, we can see we've got a collision box and an arrow. So I know that that's at the start where I need it to be, which is good. So now we're going to right click, go to blueprint class, type in bomb, and there's a bomb field prototype just here, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to call it bridge bomb because that's what it does. And we're going to open that up and take a look at that. So first thing we do, we want the activation type to be on tick because we want it to run straight away, we don't want it to delay. So I'm going to change that to on tick, change it to use tick, change the delay to 0 so it doesn't not run. We want a sphere, and then we just want to check here the bomb duration is 0.5, so it is, so that's fine. So that's going to explode in 0.5 seconds. And then we are looking for actor lifespan, and then we decide to give up and just type in. So initial lifespan we want to be 0.6 seconds because that's 1.1 second after the lifespan of the bomb, which we forgot, and we are checking again the duration. So duration 0.5, lifespan 0.6, so it finishes after it explodes. So we're going to pull it out into the world here, put it inside where our start position is, and at the top we're going to simulate physics, not simulate the run. Now if you noticed, everything fell down, so we're going to get our anchor points from the previous tutorial and just add them to the level. Now an anchor point is a blueprint, so if you missed that tutorial you can right click, get a blueprint, get the actor, type in anchor and it will appear. We're just going to duplicate that and put one at the start and one at the end so that our floor doesn't fall. We're going to select the floor, select geometry collection, type in ini, and we want these initialization fields, and we're going to select both of the ones that we have just placed down, and this will ensure that our floor doesn't fall. So now when we simulate again, it only destroys that part of the floor that we want. So that's good, that means it's working. If we do it again on both sides, there we go, destroys the whole thing. Now that's good, but I want it to spawn and sort of chase the player as if we were running away from a really cool explosion like in the movies. So we need to make sure that that is something that we set up. We're just checking some of the results here. Now there's some cool stuff you can do here. It can destroy the actor when it spawns. You can use the bomb so it expands. You can mess with all of these settings and see what they do, but there's some really cool stuff that it can do. And I'll send you a link to the person who gave me whose video I watched and gave me a lot of information. So actor begin overlap, we're going to check it's equal. This is the box, and then we're going to just dock this to the side to make it bigger and easier for you to see. That might be a bit too far. We're going to get a branch here, hold being, click, and from true, so if it equals the player, we're going to set timer by event. So if we promote time to a variable, just drag out, right click, and it will give you the option to promote to variable. And this is the time between bombs, so how long it takes to spawn the next one. We're going to click the eye to make that instance editable, drag out from event and add custom event. This needs to be looping, and that's our spawn bomb event. We're going to promote return value to a variable as well, so that we can stop this looping so that it doesn't spawn forever. Call that loop timer. That doesn't need to be instance editable, that's fine. and then from spawn bomb we are going to spawn actor from class. We're going to get our bomb class, so select bridge bomb, and then we need to get the location that we want. Now this is a little bit complicated. Okay, so it's complicated because we want to spawn the bomb in the world but move it according to the relative location of our start position. So we want to get world transform and then get relative location as well. From there we're going to split them, and then we need to get transform location, just like that. And we're going to put world transform into T, and we're going to split the location. We want it on the X and the Z, so we always want it on the same X value and always on the same Z value. And then we're just checking here whether we need to plus or take away from the Y. So we're moving it a bit to see if we need to plus or take away. I've got it on takeaway, but you may need to have it on plus if you've pulled out your node and it's rotated, or you've rotated it yourself. So here we go, we're going to add a new variable, call it bomb number, so that's the number of the bombs that we're on, how many times the bomb's been spawned. And then we're going to pull that out in get and multiply that by 100. And then from there, we're going to subtract that value. So what this will do is no matter what number we're on, it will multiply by 100. So if we're on bomb 2, it'll take away 200. If we're on bomb 3, it'll take away 300. And that's the idea behind that. Now this took me 5 hours to work out, which is not great, but it works and it looks absolutely brilliant. So now we're going to get a branch and we're going to check the current bomb number to a new variable which we're going to make. So we'll duplicate current bomb number, Control D, we'll make that max bombs. That should be instance editable, we'll fix that in a minute. You want current bomb number to compare against max bombs, and if that's true, we're going to get the loop timer and we're going to clear and invalidate timer by handle, which stops the spawn. And now we're going to set, so we're going to go back to the level, select our bridge, set the time between bombs to be 1. That's a little bit high, as we'll see in a moment, but for testing that's really good. And then we figure out that max bombs isn't instance editable. We set that to be 15 and we give that a run. So here we can see the bombs spawn. They spawn, they don't currently move forward, but they are spawning where we want them to spawn, which is fine. So if we get, this is because we're not increasing the current bomb number, so we get current bomb number, drag off from current bomb number and type in plus plus, and then we get the increment int. So this increases it by 1 and sets the variable as well. So now if we do it again, we can see that the bomb numbers increase and it moves towards us. It moves towards us slowly because we set it to 1, but that's what we want just for testing. You'll see in a moment. We set it to a smaller value and it becomes a lot faster and a lot more dangerous. Right now it's a bit of a leisurely walk. So let's go back, select the bridge, we'll increase the distance between these by 50, so it's 150 instead of 50, just to see what difference that makes. Yep, a little bit better. Bombs spawn a bit further apart. You can play with the distances yourself. now we are going to fab. We're going to type in spike trap, and we're going to grab the spike trap that we need, which will be our def volume. So we grab this one, add to project, it'll download into our project. We need to do a couple of bits with it, so we'll grab it, pull it out into, no, we'll grab it and we'll go into the static mesh itself. We'll go to the collisions, we'll have a look at the collisions. We're going to remove the green line collisions and save, and then we're going to go down to the settings and collision complexity. We're just going to change that to use complex as simple. That should turn purple, beautiful. So now we're going to grab it, put it into the world, realize that it's about a mouse trap, not a spike trap, and we're just going to make that bigger. So how we're going to make that bigger, we're going to go to selection mode, select modeling, we're going to select X-form, transform, and we're just going to pull that up to 4 on all of the values, and that makes it a lot bigger. We'll select complete, we'll bake the transform of that, and then just for ease for later on, we're also going to edit the pivot. So grab the pivot, move it all the way to the right or to the left, whichever is easiest, accept that, bake the transform, and that's changed our static mesh to be bigger and to have a different transform. So we're going to go back to selection, come back to our third person folder and create a new folder called def volumes. So this will hold all of our kill ideas. We'll put an actor in here, call it BP, def spikes or spikes, or die, spiky die, whichever's easiest. We will add a static mesh up here, and we will make that our spikes that we have. There we go, spike trap. These look brutal. Just decrease that a little bit, beautiful. And then we're going to come up to the top and add a collision box. Box collision, excellent. And that box collision should be just a little bit higher than the spikes and cover nearly all the box really. So we're just going to make that bigger, extend, bring it up a little bit, make sure it covers all the spikes. We don't want getting out of that spike trap, and then yeah, we'll just bring it up. Beautiful. So a couple of bits still to do. There we go. We're going to go right click on box, go to add event, go on component begin overlap. Come on, find it. There we go. And then here we're going to get the def message, which we set up in the previous one as a blueprint interface. Delete the static mesh and pull out our new blueprint actor. There we go. We're just going to test it, make sure it works. It works. We like to head bob on this spike, look at it, bouncy. And then we're going to pull it out and add it underneath our bridge. So if you fall on the bridge, if you fall off the bridge, you die rather than fall forever. There we go, just duplicating it along, Control D all the way along, and then click to play. Right click, play from here. Run along this bridge, running. Here we go. The bridge is exploding, where it's a bit slow, so we're going to chuck ourselves off it. As we can see, the debris is landing on the spike trap, so that's not really what we want. And we'll do a little dance, and then we die. So let's fix that problem. Super easy, simple fix. Go to our spike trap, go to the static mesh. First we need to change the box so that we can't step up on it, and go to our static mesh, change it so that we can't step up in it as well. We don't want to be able to step on the spikes. Change this to custom, and at the bottom ignore destructible And also ignore camera, which we don't do here, but you should do. So now when we run along, the spikes get nothing on them. It all falls through and we die. So I'm just going to change that time like we should have done before. Click play from here, run it again. Decrease it some more because we didn't like how slow that was still. Run it again. Playtest, playtest, playtest is the motto. And you can see it's really fast. So maybe 0.3 or 0.4 would have been better. Here we are going to add our sound effects and our effects of explosions. So we're going to spawn emitter at location. The location is where the bomb is. And then we're going to spawn the sound at the location. And we'll spawn the sound of the bomb exploding. Thank you very much for that sound effect there. We're going to spawn sound. We're going to spawn another sound at location, and this one's going to be the bridge breaking. So we've got our explosion sound effects, and then we've got our bridge sound effects as well. And I'll link some effects that we used at the start as well. There we go, just adding our sound effects nodes. Beautiful. And then when you're finished, it should look something like this.